call the meeting to order. Here.
Mr. Chancho?
Here.
Mrs. Grosh?
Here.
Mrs. Gutierrez?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Yes. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consideration of additional agenda items. Hearing none, we're going to go to public comment. I'd like to welcome back Jim Finnemore. Jim, come on up. Good to see you again.
There we go. Okay. Good evening, board and staff. Thanks for having me down here and letting me speak. Question being is, out here in the park at Cavendish Park, I've been seeing four-wheelers and motorcycles riding down there. So is that something we notify you about, or is that something we call the police department about? And they have to run them down. What do we do on something like that?
Yvonne, I'm going to look at you on that one, but I would think that's a police call.
Yeah, you would call the police department. You certainly can notify us as well, and we can reinforce that with a phone call, and I'm looking at Bob. Is that the correct?
Okay, yeah, 'cause we do have neighbors over here that routinely go down there, and they've been troubling the neighbors since they moved in, but I want to make sure how we properly handle that.
Yeah, I would think the police, we don't have any jurisdiction over vehicles or street enforcement or those types of things. If it's trespass, we can look at trespass, but we'd still call the police. And I'd appreciate it if you'd call them.
Yep. Okay,
I
yeah.
have a question. Do we have signs there posted that say no motorized vehicles allowed or motorized vehicles prohibited?
There used to be.
Well, Margaret, I have not seen that specifically anywhere. So this is really the first I've heard of this being an issue. But I could totally see it happening in Cavendish, probably more than other places. So that may be required. So.
I think that might be something that we want to do, because I've actually noticed the same thing that you have in the open space that I live behind. There seems to be individuals that are taking their dirt bikes in these areas and bikes and motorized, and I've actually confronted a couple of them, and it's very uncomfortable.
Right. I've nothing against motorcycles.
Sense. We'll look into it.
Yeah, nothing against motorcycles. I love them, but right places, right time, right? Right. And then a suggestion that just to get ahead of the game a little bit here is, as time comes on and we start mowing, something I've noticed is that if we could take and put a 5-gallon bucket on the mowers, and then have each mower have a little grabber to where when there's trash, instead of mowing the trash and turning one piece of trash into 10,000 pieces of trash, it would kind of help keep things clean. I've mowed a lot of grass and baled a lot of hay, and I don't know, it's just a pet peeve when trash is getting mowed and ground up into little pieces and making a lot more of a mess. And then as far as messes are concerned, I'd like to give kudos to Alan. I met with him about a week ago, and he was very generous with his time and working with me with the problem we've got down here on the southern boundary with the trash coming in from the apartments down there. So he's working on that, and kudos to Alan for that one. And that's about all I've got. Thank you very much.
Jim, thank you. Always appreciate it. All right, we're at introductions and presentations, and Director Beck, you're up.
Figure I'd come down here. I am pleased to introduce our two new directors who both started with us in the last month. They've both been great additions to our team, and I'm excited for you to meet them and learn more about them. So I'll first introduce Jenny Kramer. She is our new marketing director, and I'll let her come up and she can share a little more about her background.
So like Skylar said, I am Jenny Kramer. I'm the new Director of Marketing Communications. I have been working in communications and marketing for about 17 years. I moved here about 4 years ago from Vegas and started doing marketing at the Ameristar in Blackhawk. But I'm excited to be in the Parks and Rec business now. So, do you guys have any questions?
Good decision,
Yeah,
and welcome.
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I don't know if Yvonne let you know, but I would like to get your marketing talents for the Highland Hills Foundation.
We're working on it, right? Yeah, so anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah. The fitness center?
So I noticed this year, and I commented at the last meeting, that there's no rush. Is that what our flyers? Well, this is our competitor's flyer that I got in the mail, but I didn't get a flyer from us this year.
Yeah, we just talked about that today with Bob Adams doing something potentially in the area, so.
I did notice, and this is one thing that I think has been beneficial, is all the Instagram posts. So there's Instagram posts that are coming across for all of the various activities,
Yep,
which I do think are beneficial to remind people as well, the individual activities.
yeah, we
that are
definitely
coming
want to
through.
highlight everything everybody's doing in the district, and Kelly has been increasing those over the last couple of weeks, even since I've been here, so I'm glad you noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also noticed the fit for February, the Valentine's special. Did you see that? Came across today? Mm-hmm. For couples, well,
Yeah. For the personal training offer and the 10% off the annual membership? Well, I didn't say personal training offer, so. Yeah, there's two. Yep. So we just sent that out today. David did say we got some good feedback already. He's gotten a couple calls from that email, so that's encouraging that people are opening them and reading what we're putting out, so. What else? Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's great meeting you all.
Thank you, Jenny. It's been about a month, and she has made a huge impact since starting in just a short time. So super excited to see what she can accomplish over a long career here. She is also a really good sport. As part of the interview process, I had her give a presentation to staff about different marketing plans. So that was a little intimidating, I'm sure, but she's a great sport and accepted the job anyway. So clearly our top candidate, and glad she's here. Next, I'll introduce Mike Ragland. He started with us last week, and he brings a really strong background in finance, so I'll give him a chance to introduce himself as well.
Good evening. First, thanks for having me. I appreciate your time. I'm a native of Colorado, born and raised in Denver, over by Sloan's Lakes. I'm familiar with Highland Hills, obviously a big fan of Waterworld growing up. I've played flag football for our program as well, tore my ACL, broke my thumb twice, so familiar. As far as my background, I was with City and County of Denver in finance, oversaw the Parks and Recreation budget, specifically recreation and golf. I worked a little bit with parks, but so I have some experience there. I worked for the state of Colorado, and most recently I come from CSU. I was the assistant director of finance and accounting there. Wasn't there very long. We were going to relocate up north. I decided not to. So the drive was, pretty gruesome there for a while. So decided to look for something a little bit closer, and was really happy to find a place like Highland Hills to kind of apply my skills. And with the great Parks and Rec, again, I have some background in that area. I also worked for a for-profit company that was retail. So I work with POS systems and sales and all that too. So kind of got that government and private sector that kind of come together. And so when I saw the posting here, I thought that was a great match for the skill set that I have. And so far, it's only been 4 days, but it's been great. Everyone's been super nice, super accommodating. Got a tour of some of the facilities today. Really impressed. I'm excited to get started here. Thank you.
Absolutely welcome. So were you North High or Jefferson?
North High.
North
High
High.
School. Denver
Go-
North High School.
go Vikings.
I was a Viking, yes, sir. Yes.
And Lake as well?
Lake Middle School, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very glad you're here. And, you know, you've been here 4 days, so you've got 4 more days to figure it out.
Gotcha. I just need to type that up, get that to you guys.
And you made the right choice. This is a great place to work.
Yeah, I believe so. So everything I've seen so far says so as well.
And I see your name tag says Michael. Do you want Michael or Mike?
You know, either one's fine. I get asked that a lot, and there's always a lot of Mikes wherever I've worked. But Mike or Michael is fine. I go by both. You know, I get called both, so I'm okay with either. Thank you.
And I'll give you some advice.
Please.
You're going to have to man a ride at Waterworld, so I'd go to Waterworld a couple of times
Okay.
and figure out which one you want to.
So start eyeballing.
Yeah,
Okay,
figure out which one you want to
I should probably
administer.
start stretching too, just in
Yeah.
case. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm new to the council here, for the board, as of May, and so because of my financial background, I asked if I'd be the treasurer. So hopefully you have a strong background in the statement of cash flows, but I'm doing my best to educate the organization on the importance of the statement of cash flows.
A statement of cash flows is one of the 3 main statements. I think a lot of focus goes into the balance sheet and income statement, but the third one is the cash flows. And I agree with you; they get overlooked quite a bit. But cash flow is very important, you know. So yeah, I do have familiarity. I've done it for private and for-profit sector, so I'm familiar. And it is always the third one on everyone's mind. But yes, I believe it's important. All 3.
And I think the other thing that would be very helpful for the board is being able to explain the fundamental differences between a government accounting and commercial accounting, because they are so different and what they focus on and those differences. And then the other thing, and I know that this is near and dear to Skylar and Yvonne's heart, is changing or simplifying our budgeting process so it's more clear as to expenditures, revenues, and restricted assets and reserves.
Sure.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
oh, absolutely. And just a little more background on me. I also taught at Front Range Community College here part-time at nights as an adjunct instructor. I did that for 4 years. And so I taught, you know, fundamentals of accounting, principles of accounting, cost accounting, and payroll accounting over those 4 years. So a little bit of that as well. So yeah, I agree. Those fundamentals are pretty important in distinction. And again, I've done both here. So yeah, there is a difference and it is important. And working for, even though I'm in accounting for either for-profit or public sector, they are completely different. So when I went into governmental accounting, it was a huge shift for me, mindset for me that I had to adjust to. So clearly, it is separate. It is different.
Had the same experience.
Did you? Yeah.
From commercial to
Yes.
public sector.
Yeah.
It was enlightening and challenging.
I agree. You're correct. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Michael, thank you very much.
Me again? All right, I'll just park it here. I will say with Mike, he has a pretty unique combination of public and private sector experience. So we were beyond thrilled when his application came through and he blew us away in his interview. So we're very excited to have Mike and fortunate that he joined our team and joined quickly. Okay, next up, I will introduce J.R. Clanton with the Barry Dunn. He's been one of our main consultants for our strategic plan, and he's got a little presentation prepared for us tonight, so I will turn it over to him. Nicole, can you switch the screens to me.
Thank you. Hello, my name is J.R. Clanton. I'm a consultant with Barry Dunn. And it's my first time presenting to you all, but I've been working on this project for several months, and I'm really excited to actually have a chance to talk to you tonight. The purpose of today's presentation is an update on the strategic planning process. It's been going on a while, and our commitment to you has been we're going to keep you all apprised of the progress of the project as it goes on. Just a little bit of background about myself and my role in this project. I do live in Denver, Colorado, and I have a lot of ties to Hyland Hills. I worked for Westminster for 9 years in the city of Westminster, and to have always appreciated the parks and facilities you all have. Typically, my role on these projects, I work more on the financial analysis and cost recovery side. And so that's a lot of the work that I've been doing in the background, and that's a lot of the reports that you'll be seeing coming to you in the next month or so. So a reminder of what the purpose of the plan was and how we're moving forward, to really establish the priorities for the next 10 years. That includes strategies, practices, and really defining what services are going to be provided. Again, the three main points: engagement, enterprise and entertainment facility assessments, and financial and funding analysis. The timeline, this is where we're at. We're almost there. It's really exciting. We're excited to get it to you. And I guess the key one here is that the key completion date we're looking at is March and early April to the board. So recent progress highlights include a visioning sessions conducted with both you all and staff. We've completed our operations assessment of enterprise facilities, and we've completed our facility assessments of enterprise facilities. Currently, the financial assessment is well underway. I've been working very closely with Skylar on this, and we're coming forward with some recommendations and some overviews of your financial systems and processes, primarily as they relate more to the budgeting and operational side, not as much to the accounting side. Although I'll talk to you about accounting all day long if you want me to. It sounds like you're in really great hands with Michael, though. I'd like to share with you all some of the visioning highlights from both our conversations with you as well as with the conversations with staff. But before we go into it, I always like to have a few caveats here. And the caveats are that just because it's something we recorded doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen, that it's absolute fact, and that it's going to proceed without any other types of questions or analysis. It really is about just starting conversations, and these are some of the key launching points of your conversations. So for the board recap on maintenance, a lot of focus on ongoing maintenance, but also prioritizing deferred maintenance and reducing water needs by implementing xeriscaping on non-critical landscape. Under administration, operations, and finance, some of the highlights were affordability, on remaining focused on affordability, equitable facilities and programmings, and then conversations around how to develop and do long-term capital planning. On parks, facilities, and amenities, prioritizing fundings for facilities, focusing on maintaining existing structures, and then again, trying to be economical with what we have, eliminating high maintenance landscaping, and prioritizing exceptional facilities and parks. Under services, again, themes related to equity came up, services for all demographics that meets community needs and that's appropriate for all ages. So making sure we're not just hitting the current power users of the system, but also something that appeals to everyone, maybe even non-users. So now, I guess, sorry, I'm blazing through it. Sorry.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
this one here, this is when I think Jason came and he said got 30 seconds or a couple minutes to put down your priorities, and then this is what came out
Yes,
of all of those. Okay.
yeah. And we'll give you all a copy of this for your own records. And again, it's just what we recorded. We don't edit it. We do try to sometimes identify themes if things are rolling up, but it is important to note that we never editorialize or make judgment on it.
I recognize the call. Yeah.
Excellent. And so for today, what we really wanted to do was introduce it to you all, then we can get a copy of it to you and have further conversations later. But really for today, what we wanted to do is give you an update of what we had heard.
You know what was really beneficial during that time? Jason had presented other art districts, I think locally, and, well, other amenities locally, like the swimming pools,
Mhm.
that were available to residents of the area, but then also what was happening nationally. And I found that very helpful. I don't know if anyone else did, knowing like what we have to do. Is that something that we would revisit again?
The comparisons to other agencies? Yeah, we have completed some comparisons as part of this process, and so that's something that we could certainly make sure you all have. You know, and then to the extent that you all continue to use that to help guide decision-making processes, absolutely, it's worth having a conversation. Thank you. So what you all might find interesting is what was some of the staff input. We did a similar exercise with staff.
What does it mean, activate our facilities in parks?
Yeah, that generally when we talk about activation, we mean getting people to utilize it. And sometimes when we talk activation, that can be everything from having program designed at a specific location or at a specific facility, or setting up amenities, or you know, it can even be something as simple as like mowing the grass in a certain spot that you want. That's where you want the people to go.
Even the staff care about that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And in general, the staff, I mean, you all know it. There's a lot of ownership and pride in the facilities where you work and that you're part of, and the staff definitely reflects that pride. So under operations, finance, and administration, the list here you see is some of the other things that came up. Again, you'll see some common themes. And then I think as part of the financial analysis and assessment we're doing for you, we certainly will give you some recommendations and insights to use to help achieve some of these.
Oh, I like the park ranger program.
Yep.
Yeah, and it, yeah, right, and that is the constant balance for all government, right? Especially when you have enterprise, what is the right amount of cost recovery? And a cost recovery study and cost recovery model is not part of this planning process, but certainly there are elements of it, just the thematic considerations are. And what you're getting at right there, you know, what is the appropriate cost recovery is something to look at. finally, under services, this was the list. And I thought it was interesting the amount of different types of programming to appeal to the different populations that the district serves. A real focus on being equitable and achieving and hitting all the different ages that make up the community.
Are esports programs like video gaming?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
They're surprisingly popular in different parts of the country and different parts of the community.
If you get really good, you make a lot of money.
Yes. It's incredible.
Those are a lot of good ideas.
So like I said, we can share the presentation with you and you can have further looks at it. These are the types of insights, the visioning insights that are feeding into the recommendations. In terms of what's left, completing the capital improvement plan recommendations, we'll get that to you all. Financial and funding analysis, that's in particular the part that I'm working on, and that's going to be an interesting, robust section of this document. And then finally, the full plan and an accompanying action plan that makes the plan implementable.
With other municipalities that have implemented a strategic plan, in your experience, those boards that have taken the plan and been most effective in the implementation of it, what have you seen those boards do that has made the work of the strategic plan come to life?
That's a great question. Usually I hear that from the staff side. From the board side, supporting the plan and then supporting staff's approach to implementing the plan. I mean, that's one of the big roles. There will be policy directions that will come forward to you all every time the plan, elements of the plan are going to be implemented. And it's up to you all to then decide the appropriate policy response as recommended by your staff. So adoption of the plan, support of the plan, and support of staff's recommendations that stem from the plan are all key things that the board can do to help ensure a successful implementation. It's also good to remember it's not just a one-year thing, right? This is a document that remains present over the next several years. And so as a board, remembering the role that that document plays in continuing to do both short-term and long-term planning.
In your experience, have boards set up committees, like a strategic plan committee, update committee, and then maybe there's some ancillary committees that come from that, so you would have one that focuses on services and one that's focusing on funding and financial analysis, or maybe there's just one committee. I think there's enough work here that it's a couple of committees, but I'm wondering what that structure looks like, if you have any experience and thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of committees to implement a strategic plan, I've not had experience with that. I have had experience with boards that have various advisory committees that review certain elements. There are sometimes task-specific advisory committees that sometimes are formed. But in terms of implementing a strategic plan, off the top of my head, I can't think of an exact example. I'm happy to bring that back to my team, though, and see if anyone has any further responses to that one.
Well, before you do that, we have a board norm here that we get consensus amongst ourselves for that.
Sure.
I think that would be something good, because as a board, we've never had this before, so we haven't had the opportunity to set up the implementation of it. So I would find it valuable. I don't know if the other board members would want to consider that.
So Margaret, I think that, in my opinion, I would want to consider that, but I think it's too soon yet. We need to see the strategic plan, we need to look at it, and we need to say, where can we help, or what do we need to do? I don't want to get into, this board is going to micromanage the work. where we're gonna say, this is the finance committee, this is the services committee, this is this committee. I wanna step back and make sure we have the big picture. That's where I'm at. So I don't think we need to do that right now.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that, but I think that it would be helpful to get information how other boards have done that. That's the ask that I have.
Yeah, right now, I just think it's too early.
Okay, so we'll wait to see how other boards have done that after we get the plan back, or?
Let's digest the plan, and be thoughtful of our questions and so on.
Yeah, I think we need to see the plan and see where it might make sense to have a committee here or a committee there, or a focus here or a focus there. Or do we just want to stay as a big, large group and look over the plan? I think it's nice to, I mean, I've worked with lots of strategic plans and boards, and some of them want to micromanage and some of them want to stay further out. And it's not unrealistic to say we can do this at a higher level, but I think it's a great thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, that my main concern is we don't act on it, because that's unfortunately my experience, is boards get strategic plans and don't act on them. So that's what I'm looking to prevent.
I agree, Margaret. A strategic plan sitting on a shelf is no help. So we need to continue to look at it, monitor it as we see fit. I think we need to keep bringing it back.
Great. Well, that's the presentation. Thank you for the time. And it was probably a little bit denser today, but I appreciate having the time to review it with you. This is the contact information for Jason Gank, who is the project manager. I'm also happy to field any questions you have, and you can always reach me through Skylar and Yvonne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time tonight and for your work. Looking forward to seeing the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Looking for a motion to approve the treasurer's report from December.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District approve the December 2023 Treasurer's Report as presented.
Second.
Discussion?
In looking at the report, there's only one large variance I was hoping staff could just either remind me or shed some light on. If you look in the governmental fund expenditures, the interest in other expenses, the budget amount was 1.9 million. The actual is 5.2 million, so a variance of 3.3 million. Just a reminder of what that variance was or is.
You know, Mike, excuse me, first of all, I'm going to ask for a little bit of grace here as Skylar and I kind of tag teamed the report this month due to our circumstances. I will have to check into it. My gut tells me that the budget number is maybe incorrect, but let us take a minute to dissect it, and then we will email you all out with the answer to that question.
Great, thank you. And I'll save my cash flow questions till, I know. For board discussion.
You're going to give Mike another couple days?
Yeah, no.
No, that's for open
I'll
discussion.
give him a couple days.
Any other discussion on the treasurer's report? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 8th.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District approve the minutes of the board meeting of January 8th, 2024 as written.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing no discussion. All those in favor of approving the board meeting minutes from January 8th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Nicole, communication and correspondence to the board?
No, sir.
Yvonne, now we're up to you then with your project tracker.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the tracker information, if you want to jump to item 5, which is the first highlighted area, which is the Park and Recreation Master Plan Committee. Just letting you know that the sports complex turf project continues to be on progress. We were doing really, really well on the schedule until this last weekend when all the snow hit. So they still, the field number 1 is pretty substantially complete, I would say. Field 2 is getting ready for the turf to go down, but we have to wait for the moisture to clear out a little bit, and then they'll get ahead on Field 3. So our understanding as of today, barring any other significant weather delays, we still should be ready by the end of March with all 3 fields. Is that correct, Alan? Yeah. So if you haven't had a chance to get by there, drive by. It looks really, well, don't drive by today because it's covered with snow, but after the snow melts a little bit, drive by. It's really an amazing look, and my understanding is we're getting an awful lot of interest from community, from different rental groups to program the space, so we're pretty excited about what's coming. The other item is that we are expecting, I think, next week, the delivery of the shelter for the Sherwood Park project. So if you remember, all the infrastructure was put into place. We were just waiting on the shelter. It should be here. We still then are waiting on the one final piece, which is the poured-in-place flooring for the play area, and that one is completely weather-dependent. There are only 2 contractors in town that will actually do the installation work, so we're a little bit at their mercy. So I'm guessing that will probably be another couple months out, so we'll just keep you posted on that piece. And then we are still working on the permits for the shelters down at Clear Creek Valley. We did just get our floodplain permit, is my understanding. So they'll have to work, the contractor will have to work on an erosion plan, and then we'll be ready to go in for permitting for the shelters. Is that correct, Alan?
That's exactly right.
Okay. Any questions on that area? So moving on to item 6, we're happy to report that the fencing project at the golf course was done. Again, amazing contractor to work with on I would say on time, on budget, and a bunch of happy homeowners as far as I understand. So a little bit of cleanup work taking place around it from our own staff. But again, very happy with that project and a nice improvement at the golf course. Moving on to item 11, which is the strategic plan. Obviously, you had your update this evening. We're getting very close on that, so we're all really excited about that. And I'm going to just say, commentary-wise, we couldn't agree with you more, Margaret. We want to make sure that once we have the plan in hand, that we have a plan then to start dissecting it and coming to the board with recommendations on implementation. So we're all really, really excited to see that, and certainly appreciate the board's willingness to take on that project, because it was not cheap, nor was it something that didn't take an awful lot of time. Skylar's done a great job with it, and we really look forward to the finished project. And then just a real quick commentary. Thanks, Jenny and Mike, for coming to the meeting tonight. I can't tell the board enough how excited we are to have these 2 individuals join our team. We think that the talent that has walked in this door is just going to continue to make us better. I think they're, so far, we haven't scared them away yet, so we're pretty excited that they keep coming back to work, and look forward to working with both of them and the great things they're going to bring to the district operation. And then I don't really have anything on the quarterly reports. You all have your quarterly reports with you, so I guess just open it up for questions, and you can direct them at me or any of the deputies if you have those.
I do have a couple of questions about the quarterly reports. I saw that under Human Resources that an employee job satisfaction survey was going to go out at the end of January.
Yeah, so we actually decided to do a series of surveys this year. So we kind of split it up into different topics. So the first survey just went out regarding employee events. That was, I don't know if it's been open a couple of weeks. We heard just this morning that we've had 69 people already respond to it, and 69 out of our just under 100 people we think is a pretty good response rate so far. We were going to send out another email, I think, this week, because the survey will close on Friday, so we'll circle back with the board and kind of let them know how that went. But we want to, rather than trying to ask them everything at once, we try to kind of split it up into categories. So there will be a monthly survey going out to the staff to ask their opinions on different things throughout the district.
The only request that I had, thank you for that update or explanation, is that would you share the results of the surveys with the board?
Yes, we absolutely will.
Yeah, I would support that as well.
The other thing that I had under information technology, and this comes from the Special District Association conference that we attended in September, there were discussions at that point in time where we would move from being, convert from our website and our email from going from an org to a .gov. And I know that there were some benefits that at the conference, that were clear to us. I was wondering, where do we stand on that project?
I'm glad you asked. So we came back from the conference and we asked IT to get on that, and they were all over it. So we were approved a couple of months ago, I think. We have to do some work on getting our domain shifted from Waterworld to Hyland Hills, but work has already started. So there's a handful of us in this room that already have .gov email addresses. So yes, we're seeing a lot of benefits to that already, and it's a transition in progress, but I'm very pleased that the IT department embraced that and went after it immediately. So we will soon have a Hyland Hills, well, I don't know if we already have it, but soon you'll see everything morph over into .gov on everything, on email addresses, websites, et cetera.
That's great.
So we'll all get new email addresses.
In the packet here, the website improvements in progress. The FITS component, the link for training and membership and so on, still goes to my gym payment. Doesn't go to the new software. The link is still to my gym payment.
And where are you seeing that link at, Mike? Is that in the emails that you're getting?
No, it's on the Highland Hills website. When you go for scheduling, training, and so on, the link is built in to go to my gym payment.
We will get that addressed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it doesn't go to Rec Track. Okay. Unless, again, it could be user error, so. Okay. And then the other question, I guess, the deep freeze and the wet snow over the last 4 weeks. Again, I think all of us saw the videos of the water break at the sports center. Any other events from the deep freeze, or how did the wet snow impact the parks and golf course and so on?
We did, I believe, have one other freeze at Adventure Golf in the concession area. Is that correct, Alan? Actually, I'm going to turn it over to the deputies and let them talk about their own areas.
Yeah, thanks. We had a Pepsi line freeze. It was in the attic of our concessions building, which was really built as a summer-only building, but we use it year-round now. So it took down a couple pieces of drywall. By the time we got to it, that's been repaired. And then we did, not related to the cold, but related to a heater failure. We lost a heater from 1964 in the Baker building, and we had about 6 or 8 repairs to do there on some piping. That was just 2 weeks ago, not in the deep freeze, but we did have that problem over there. Other than that, golf course fared well. I'm pleased to report no back injuries from our teams in the snow removal. First thing I asked Monday morning, how many plows did we break and how many backs are hurt? And we did not break anything or hurt anybody. So that was a good discussion we had prior to that event. So
That's good, because that snow was heavy and wet. And I noticed that we removed 6 trees from the golf course, and we added 13 new trees, which is great. That's awesome. Thanks.
yeah, we're excited about that, yeah.
Yeah, those are special trees that get out of the way of my golf ball.
Yeah, we've tried to push them out a little further from the greens and fairways than some of the old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty common, Mike. We see folks leave furniture, beds, mattresses, you name it, in and around our parks, and we have to go retrieve it. And I mean, it's a line item on our upkeep list, trash removal and graffiti. So it's an issue.
Not that signs would work, but are there signs that say no dumping?
I believe there are some of those. Most of the signage is geared towards daytime use only, no overnight parking, these types of things. But certainly in our park rules, those issues are addressed.
Is there any way we could put signs that say, this parking lot is monitored, beware, or something?
We can certainly try that, and see how that goes. But yeah, it happens. And then, then the other thing is we have to, be compassionate about homeless and how we handle that and how that gets addressed as well, so.
Yeah. I have a question about the fun fact. I was trying to figure out how many employees we have or how old they are. So I need either one of those to know that 196 years of experience. So,
There are currently 17 employees in the Parks and Facilities Maintenance Department.
okay.
So that kind of tells you where we're sitting, somewhere, looks like around that 22-year mark or so.
Yeah.
You couldn't find one more person with 4 years?
Well, if they stick around this time next year, we'll make it.
You'll make it to 200?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we had one that we were able to replace. We had budgeted in the capital, so get to keep things clean.
And then the fun fact on Uncle Barnaby. Have you been to see him?
I have not, but Val tells me I need to.
Yeah, it sounds good. And I think Margaret wants to talk about the fun fact about the Zamboni.
I think someone should just tell Corey he should stop trying to dissuade me from driving the Zamboni. He should just stop now. I'm not afraid of the blades.
We might have one going up for sale soon, Margaret, so I don't know how much space you have in your garage. Just think about it.
And I do want to say at the restaurant, the holiday meals that they offered were very, very, very delicious. So whoever's making those, good job.
Do you have your Valentine's reservations yet?
I'm going to be in Vancouver, British Columbia. So, but if I wasn't, I'd be there.
I have mine for Friday night. So you can spread the word that we actually do pay attention to the fun facts?
Oh, absolutely, we'll do that.
That's the best part of the report.
I think they have some fun with it too, so.
Any other comments about the quarterly report? Thank you all very much for your hard work on that. We appreciate it. Allison, it's your turn.
All right, there is the January legal report in your board packet. I'm happy to answer any questions the board might have.
What facility would we hold live concerts at?
Clear Creek Valley Park.
The parks.
Is it far enough away from residential lanes?
Yeah, it's a great venue. You should go. It's beautiful.
And there's live concerts at the golf course as well.
And we'll be having one at Waterworld this summer.
Oh, cool.
Could we get the Rolling Stones to do a mini concert for us?
They're coming to Denver.
I know. Playing at Mount High.
I bet you we could get Uncle Barnaby to
Uncle
go to
Barnaby would
Clear
come.
Creek.
Thank you, Allison. Appreciate it. Old business? Moving on to new business, the resolution authorizing lease purchase financing for the golf cart GPS.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District approve the resolution authorizing the lease purchase financing for golf cart GPS systems with PNC Bank as such resolution is written.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I do have a couple of items. So one, I totally understand what this is, because this is what I ask for every time when I have a financing request that goes out. So, but as a board person, are the GPS systems going to be installed on all of our golf carts?
Yeah, they will be, we have 120 golf cart fleet, and there will be one on every unit.
Okay, so it will be all of our golf carts that will
Our
have
entire
it.
fleet, yes.
Okay. 120 units then. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. That's it.
And yes, Margaret, if you rent a golf cart, you can use it.
Oh, I
can drive
know. And these systems are super cool, because they tell you exactly how far you have to hit your ball, which it sounds like I golf really well, and I don't, because it could tell me how far I have to hit it. Chances of me hitting it that far are slim to none.
It should help with pace of play as well.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving this resolution, the lease purchase financing for golf cart, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Oh, and I do appreciate the Tabor stuff that was put in there to make it not general debt. I did notice that, so good job.
Thank you. We can't ever forget about Tabor.
Looking for a motion for the 2024 budget resolutions.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District ratify the 2024 resolution to adopt the budget, the 2024 resolution to appropriate sums of money, and the 2024 resolution to set mill levies with revised final numbers.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Discussion on the budget resolutions?
The only comment I have is, can we take the reserves out of the expenditures amount next time and maybe make it different? That's just a request. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, we will see what we can do to hopefully simplify that.
Okay, thanks.
All right, not hearing any further discussion. All in favor of the budget resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
You're so funny.
Looking for a motion on the Board of Directors quarterly meet and greet schedule.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District approve the quarterly meet and greet schedule as presented.
I second.
Somebody has to second it, or we can't discuss it.
Second.
So, discussion.
I would just like to call out the dates for Mr. Fenimore, because if you could bring people from the community to it, it would be our pleasure to meet them. So there's 4 dates, March 19th at 5:30, March 21st May 21st March 19th at 5:30 at the Fit by Hyland Hills, May 21st at 5:30 at Carl Park Community Center, Tuesday, August 20th, 5:30 at Hyland Hills Sports Center, or Carol Butts Park, and then Tuesday, November 19th at 5:30 at the Ice Center at the Promenade.
Ginny, I would just like to also ask you to put that information out, and let's see how many people we can get to these. We'd love to see them there.
Could we entice people with food? Okay.
Is it too early in the season for ice cream?
We'll definitely have it at the August one, right, for ice cream. Just letting you know that we actually, Jenny and Kelly will be including this in the activities guide that's going to go out to the entire community. So that's why we wanted to make sure we got these dates and locations solidified.
Okay.
Any further discussion? So approval of the Board of Directors meet and greet schedule, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passes. Put those on your calendars.
Okay, done.
We have a new motion that Bob brought running up to this.
Oh.
So if you want to make that motion.
Okay.
So listen carefully, please.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District approve the amended Top 1 Inc. doing business as Bender's Bar and Grill lease agreement in substantially the form presented to the board, and authorize the executive director to execute the agreement on behalf of the district with such changes as the executive director may deem necessary or appropriate.
I second.
Discussion?
I guess I read the agreement. What changes are you guys anticipating? Or is it to be negotiated?
No, and we apologize, there's several versions of this moving around, and the city had a concern or a discussion point, and we had looked at an alternative verbiage, and it's going to be in section 3 titled term. And unfortunately, the version that went out to you all this evening was it was not the version that we were using. There is a small change in that paragraph regarding the subsequent increases, and Allison can read that change to you. You've got that up there.
Sure. So the version in your packet incorporates a comment that came from city staff maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. It was the very last comment we received, where they said, we want more certainty around what the rent increases will be. And so we drafted a provision that tied the rent increases to the consumer price index, and then we all decided we don't need to do this. So the version that you have has the CPI provision that we ended up deciding not to do, and the city was fine leaving the provision how we had it. So the real provision says that rent for each renewal term shall be at fair market value, provided, however, that any increases in the rent shall be commensurate with rent increases set forth in Exhibit B. Rent for each renewal term is determined in accordance with this paragraph by landlord in its sole and absolute discretion. So the district and the city decide what the rent increase will be. This is the version that the City of Westminster has approved on first reading, and second reading is next week. So we just got mixed up on what the final version was due to these dueling drafts at the very last minute. So it's not subject to negotiation. It's a done deal. It's been approved on first reading by the city.
Got it. And how does that impact Exhibit B?
So Exhibit B has the rent schedule. And for the first 5 years of the lease.
Okay, yeah.
So and this whole provision was prompted by a comment from vendors. They wanted some parameters around rent increases. So we agreed that the rent increases would be generally proportional or commensurate with the increases that they see in the first 5 years.
Got it. So the verbiage that you just read to it is for the renewal terms?
Exactly.
Got it, okay,
Yep.
thank you. Okay.
Any further discussion? All those,
And again, I appreciate the Tabor provisions in there, saw that, and the defaults and the remedies. Much stronger, better lease contract than we've ever had, so good work, everybody.
all those in favor of approving the top one vendors bar and grill lease agreement, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. We're now at Board of Directors open discussion.
Okay, so, last week, Margaret, that you and I had a finance meeting, with staff.
Yes.
Okay. So again, talked a little bit about the treasurer's report, talked about the 2024 budget, a little handout here, and of course, you guys know, cash is king to me. Cash is king. So, worked with staff here, you know, we have a 2024 budget here in front of us, but let's talk about cash. And so, we grabbed the numbers out of the budget, kind of the EBITDA section, investing activities, financing activities. And Margaret, to your earlier question, we pulled out of the budget the plug or the general reserve.
The reserves number.
Numbers
Yep.
to calculate the EBITDA. So here we're looking at generating 16.6 million cash, positive cash flow from operating activities, again, enterprise and governmental. Of course, probably half of that, a good portion of that's from taxes. You can see the revenue coming from the taxes. So capital expenditures in the budget, 9.3.
So Mike, hold on. So when you're saying here, so we're looking at operating revenues. So you're saying of that operating revenues of 48 million, only 8 million of that is from taxes.
Correct, yes.
So that's not half.
No, I misspoke there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the things right. Yeah, and this is where the difference comes from governmental revenues and versus commercial. So when we're saying operating revenues here, we're combining operating revenues and governmental revenues all into one, which is so we're converting government statements to commercial statements. So when we're looking at that 16.6 million, that would be the equivalent of like a gross profit in EBITDA.
For interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization.
Yep, okay.
So generate 16.6 million of cash from enterprise and governmental operations. We're gonna spend 9.3 million on CapEx. And then we have to service debt. In the debt number, they broke out the various components between principal and interest. And in the budget was this placeholder of $1 million for debt that doesn't currently exist. So I backed that out. So to service the debt that we currently have on the books, it will take $5 million worth of cash.
Correct, for this year. And we planned to get an additional debt. We haven't contracted that yet, but there's in the plan that we're going to have additional debt that's going to require $1 million of debt service in the future of 2024, but it's not obligated yet.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see then EBITDA positive cash flow 16.6, cash outflow 9.3, cash outflow 5 million for debt and interest payments. So net change in cash, if you take the budgeted numbers, throw them into a cash flow statement, will be positive 2.2 million in positive cash flow.
And that goes down to 1.2 million when we get that new debt.
If we get that.
Yeah, so that's
But
kind of
the other
what's
side
been.
that's missing is new debt would be cash flow in.
Absolutely. And so, but it's going to be restricted and it will have to go to certain funds. So even though it's cash in, it's restricted as to how we can use it.
Yes, but again, for unrecorded activity, let's just base the numbers on what do we have on the books right now for debt? What do we plan for revenue? What do we plan
Yeah.
to spend?
And in my mind, when I'm looking at this, we're going to have 2.2 million, but really it's 1.2 million. So that's what I look at.
Only if we do the other B.
Exactly, but that's what we plan for.
we're
so
planning to do that.
We're planning to do that. So
It's not in the budget. The capital expenditure's not in the budget, nor is the proceeds in the budget.
yes, but when we talked in Finance Committee, there is a plan for that, to issue that staff has recommended. So we, based on what they've planned, have 1.2 million in slush that in case Waterworld has a rainy year and we don't meet those operatings, we have that. We have that stuff. So we have $1.2 million to fudge if, for like last year, if Waterworld didn't make the revenue numbers because of the weather.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for comparison purposes, here's the financial statements, our financial statements. And so in 21, there was positive cash flow. Again, you had debt financing, you had the time to the CapEx for the new sports center and so on. But in 21, there was positive cash flow of 16.8 million.
But that was restricted for Sports Center of 14 million, so it's really only positive cash flow of 2.2 million.
In 22, you have positive cash flow of 11.5 million.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened there, and I could be wrong about the Sports Center one. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's the trends. It's 21 positive cash flow, 11.1, sorry, 16.8, 22 positive, 11.6. 23, again, I was hoping by the next board meeting, staff could provide us, take the budgeted numbers, well, the actual numbers for 23 and generate a cash flow for 23 so we know how we landed. I did a swag off the treasurer's report, and we were negative cash flow somewhere between 7 and 10 million, but that's okay, because we were positive in those other years. We invested, in 23, we invested in the facilities, in maintenance and other things. Again, we had the hit for the lost revenue on Waterworld, but being positive, we were sitting on $35 million of cash at the beginning of the year. To bleed down 7 million, that's a good thing.
yeah, so what we have to remember, though, is because of the volatile nature of our revenue source, and our board policy is that we maintain financial reserves of 50% of operating expenditures. So if our operating expenditures are 48 million, the minimum reserve levels that we can have for cash, minimum, is 25 million. So really, 35 million is not as big as it sounds, because we need to have that level of reserves, in one, to preserve our liquidity, to preserve our standing in comparison to other municipalities. So what we do have is 10 million that we have set aside for emergencies, but we never want to go below that 25 million. That by board policy.
Yeah, again, I looked at that board policy and I looked at the financial statements, and we'll have a later discussion on this, but I think there potentially is a flaw in that policy on the way it measures. Because when you take into account non-cash expenses, we can have zero cash flow for the year because we spend everything we take in, but when you add depreciation expense in, we'll have a loss for the year. The loss for the year eats into the unallocated reserves. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yes, you're right about the depreciation, but some of that has to go to, I think, and this is what we haven't done in the past, is to long-term capital planning, and we have to have reserves set aside for that. So we do have the depreciation, but you can't just spend it the next year when we have buildings that we need to replace. We need to have a long-term capital plan, and that depreciation is the reflection of how we save an expense for that.
Yes, and so that's why I'm emphasizing the statement of cash flow, so we understand our sources of cash in and where it's going, and how it impacts our ending cash balance each year.
Mm-hmm.
So again, in the prior reports and so on, it seems like it was like, the third set of financial statements here that no one really looked at. I would just want to have the increased visibility that we understand our cash in and our cash out, checkbook account.
Yeah, and I know that I looked in detail for last year's where that came in, and the cash in and cash out was impacted significantly by the sports center build out.
Yes, it's clear in here, the proceeds and so on. So that's why you kind of have this timing difference between the two years and so on. But you don't have that now, so just look at our normal operating type stuff. How much cash we take in, how much we spend to service the debt we currently have, and how much do we invest in the district. So we're in a good position that we have positive cash flow from operations.
Absolutely, yes.
We're also on the verge of our strategic plan, which is going to give us some information about buildings, where we are with building maintenance, facilities, accounting. So we're right, about April, we should get all that information, which should help us.
Yes. So are we all okay with the requested next board meeting? Staff just lets us know a draft of the cash flow statement for 2023? Again, I did a swag, but Yvonne and Mike and Skylar, they can put it together relatively quickly. And they have to do it anyways for.
So you want the cash flow statement for 2023?
Yeah, just a draft.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, but 2020, I heard 2024. Yeah.
Yeah, I handed you the 2024.
Yeah, you did, from the budget, yeah. Oh, okay.
Rest of board okay with that? All right.
And I just want to thank Mike for all of the efforts that he does to put into this, because I think it is very, very good discussion when we're going through. And so thank you for all the efforts that you do put into it.
Agreed.
You appointed me the treasurer.
Yeah, you got to do something.
Yeah.
I don't mention the numbers.
We expect it, Mike. Board meeting action recap.
I only have one item, and that Yvonne is going to provide information on the variance in the treasurer's report for that 5.5 million. Interest is, yeah. That's it.
And the second item was just added to the draft cash flow.
Oh, sorry. Draft cash flow statement for 2023. Look, Mike, new Mike.
He actually told us we can call him by his other nickname, which is Money Mike. So I think we kind of like that one, and think that might stick. Money Mike.
Money Mike?
So we have Mike, Mike, and Mike. What's up with money and Mikes?
Warren, may I ask a question on
Sure.
the new 2024 Key Performance Indicators report? I assume the column is the change from prior year. Yes. Okay. And then over to the right, the 2024 total year to date. That's the total, it's basically for January, right? Correct. And so the difference between 23 and 24 should be what's in January, which is the 6th, okay? And again, you can see the FIT memberships, like the negative 557. Again, that goes to marketing that we just didn't have the resources to put forth at the beginning of the year. It comes through.
I appreciate you pointing that out and keeping us on track on the FIT.
Yeah.
So now I see on our agenda, we recess and meet upstairs. And then we'll be back to adjourn.
Actually, I think we can adjourn upstairs if that's.
Okay? We will adjourn from upstairs after our recess.